Hi, my name is Maddie and I'm a fashion photography student at Falmouth University that is just about to graduate, and this is my final major project. So this is my body of work, just a few images that goes towards my magazine that I've created. So I'm going to read out my artist statement for you so you can get to know a bit about it. So, I want to live in a world where women are free, unshackled from drowning in aspirations to be perfect, to not be bound in servitude to the male gaze, and to not feel suffocated by conforming to societal ideals of womanhood. The theme of this project investigates how women consciously hide behind a mask, concealing their true identities. The project explores how women feel more safe and secure wearing a painted disguise that men adore, rather than accepting and embracing their natural beauty. The consumer brand of Barbie, aimed at impressionable girls, is a key instrument in the development of a young woman's self-awareness. Harnessed as a tool of patriarchy to control specific versions of female identity, consumerism and consumption subconsciously force feeds women into embodying a manufactured, flawless ideal. This project showcases the sad reality of the performed South, where over-sexualised stereotypes take centre stage. Self-love doesn't come from validation. It comes from realising that what lies behind the mask is good enough. And for my behind the scenes, which you're going to see, is all of my female models that I shot and showing their voices of how they feel they have to conform to the beauty ideals of the society we live in, and how everyone feels the same, and that we as women don't need to wear these Instagram filters or wear a mask to know that we are good enough and we are perfect just the way we are. So yeah, I hope you enjoy my behind the scenes.
I think Barbie definitely influenced me from a young age. I was always so obsessed with either having the latest doll, or watching the Barbie films, or even playing the games on the computer, and I was so infatuated with her. And I think now when I look back, obviously there is that nostalgia feeling I have when I think about my childhood and growing up with Barbie. But I look back and I'm like, you weren't the best role model, with the blonde hair and the blue eyes and the tiny skinny waist and the massive boobs.
Growing up as a woman, well, going from a young girl to an adult woman, I think you are forced with a very narrow, very shallow minded look of what beauty is. I mean, obviously Barbie is a very, very strong representation of that, being blonde, pale, blue eyes, very, very rigid ideal of what it's looked like. And I think that women still have the choice not to look like that, but I think it makes life very difficult when you don't. So and it takes a lot more effort to have you've got to have an external barrier to keep up that confidence. And even if you do look like that, you still don't feel perfect enough. And so it makes the ideal in itself mute and a bit toxic in a sense, because even if you do have a size 2 waist and you're blonde and blue eyes and you still get all this attention, it never fills anything, it never fills any voids, it never makes you feel good enough, and it never makes you feel accepted. I mean, there are so many models these days that still don't feel perfect enough, even though they get told so all the time, and it creates such an unhealthy competitive environment. I mean, personally, obviously I'm 5'4", and I've always been a bit on the curvier side, so that petite body is not even physically possible for me to obtain.
I think it depends on what the stated ideals of women are, especially within beauty standards. For me, I have suffered with acne for many years, which has affected my own standards of beauty on myself. I think this comes from looking on social media at famous people who are constantly wearing makeup and being edited without any flaws for online images, which is a fake conception of real beauty. Since growing up throughout my teenage years into a young adult, I think I did hide behind a slight mask when I was younger by wearing excessive amounts of makeup compared to now, purely because I am more confident in myself now and have grown to love myself more and not care what other people think of me.
The body image wise is very toxic, with social media, but I think it goes back beyond social media. And again, it's that difference with Western and culture elsewhere. Western, it's very petite, small waist, skinny, you have the models look, and then whereas now in society it's a lot more accepting to be a little different. I mean, it doesn't not come with bad press in a way, there's always going to be negative comments, but it's more, I see it to be more accepting. And I think it's age. Like, you know, I have younger siblings who very much see being petite as beautiful, like that's what I need to do to be beautiful. Oh, my sister is smaller than me, like this and that. Like, it's very harder on the younger ones until you get to a stage where you're like, oh fuck, it's not me who's messed up, it's the world I'm in, the society I've grown up in, it's the people around me. And it's just that constant comparison, the way you're like comparing yourself to people. I think that's where the like negativity comes in.
Social media is a powerful tool and reflects our society. I think that social media expects women to look perfect in the sense that it is now normalised for females to use filters on their pictures or to edit out the stretch marks, spots on their face or discoloration. My question is, what is perfect meant to mean? It can be frustrating as a woman to go on social media and see all these filters, which change the actual face of a person. Is this their way of saying that we don't look good enough or that we look perfect with a filter? I think it has to stop, and we need to start embracing how we actually look. This way, women can appreciate themselves more and not feel the need to conform to social standards of perfection.
I think that social media and society play a really large part in the way that I feel I should look and the way that I feel like I should conform in terms of beauty and like the way your body should look and things. I think it has a massive part to play because you see it everywhere. Like, you see it in your day-to-day life, do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know anybody that's not on Instagram or like something like that follows people, like famous people and things. Mm-hmm. And there are always going to be beauty standards within society, but they're just always changing. Mm-hmm. So I think it has a really large part to play in the way that I look and the way that a lot of other people look. Mm-hmm. I think it's when I was in high school, that's when I started feeling like I should conform to beauty standards more. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't say it was because of Barbie, but I feel like that's obviously it's a personal experience because I didn't have Barbies. Mm-hmm. I think it was more like the people around me and like the girls at my school and things. Mm-hmm. What influenced the way that I felt I should look. Mm-hmm.
In year 7 was like when I got introduced to makeup as well, and ever since year 7 I would literally wake up every day, make sure I'm early just so I can do a full face every day, and everyone would always be like, Holly, you're so put together, like you always have a full face. And I'm just like, yeah, because I'm not confident and I couldn't suss out how people can go around with being natural, no makeup, because I just assumed that we had to as women, or like we had to look put together, and being put together was to have a full face. Barbie was always Barbie, and it never changed, and it never got better in a way. And I feel like having that Barbie blonde figure, it came in, you'd start seeing significance in blonde actresses and blonde powerful women, and just like they're all tall, petite and innocent and perfect in the public eye. And I feel like it was just it always reflected back to Barbie, because it was like that's the first thing you see as a child, and like growing up as a young girl, I feel like that's the first thing you get used to. And then seeing people like Margot Robbie and all of that being like sexualized in films is then almost like, oh, she's like Barbie. Or, you know, you kind of just compare it instantly and bring it back to when you're a child and kind of having those images constantly around you. The insecurities and kind of hiding and wearing a mask is still there, because it's so relevant still, and it's still happening, and it will take years for people to feel fine again if like there's no pressure for young women. And I feel like as soon as that's implanted into girls when they're younger, it will be better for when they're older as well.